Who's this
Jimmy Lewis.
Who you talking about? Jimmy something? Jimmy Witherspoon? Nobody knew who he was.
Lewis.
Jimmy.
Who's this Jimmy?
Lewis.
Jimmy.
Who's this Jimmy?
Jimmy Lewis.
Who's this Jimmy?
Lewis.
Who's this Jimmy?
Lewis. 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 Jimmy Lewis. Jimmy Lewis. Lewis. Jimmy Lewis. Lewis.
I just kept on doing it.
Welcome everybody to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
My name is Jimmy Lewis. This is the show where we talk about motorcycle and motorcycle-related parts. I'm the co-conspirator / ringmaster of this circus. I got the Instagrams over there. I think that they will ask a question or two, but if you want to ask a question, just put it up in the chat. The chat is going off. We have a robot answering a lot of your questions right now, which is really nice. Mike Wildman says, this is what the internet is for, Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. He is correct. Let's see. Dave Dolling wants to know, what year is that 500? That 500 right over there, that 500 right there is a 2020 KTM 500 EXC with cracked 20,000 miles and 600 hours. And we're gonna get into it tonight. We're gonna break into it. See if you're on Instagrams, it's right there. You could see the inside of that motor if you wanted to. I have a Wiseco piston in it, by the way. Wiseco sent me pistons to try, and I put 200 hours on it. So we're gonna see what that looks like. Victor, our number one commenter, Victor, my Beaner brother, says, what type of blinker fluid should I use for my Africa Twin in the summer? These are the kind of questions we get on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. I'm not afraid of them. Blinker fluid. I don't have an oil sponsor, but this program is brought to you by Yamaha, so you should use Yamalube blinker fluid in your Africa Twin, which is a Honda, and it'll make it better. Your lights will be Yamarific, is what I would like to say. And Mark Daniels is on time tonight with the Cold Pacifico. I'm having a nice Miller High Life, the champagne of beers, by the way, if you don't already know. So we've got some stuff tonight. We've got Rooster Endo, brought to you by Taco Moto. Of course, this show is brought to you by Climb, great companies like Bulletproof Designs, DDC Chain Wheels, DC Drive Components, Delaney Drive Components, just like this little guy right here. And I'm going to show you how this is going to keep my KTM 500 lasting longer. I'll tell you why. What other companies? Trail Tech. We've got Trail Tech helping us out. So lots of great companies. And I was going to start a YouTube channel to tell you how to make money on making YouTube videos, but I'm making so much money doing this, I don't feel like I should share the secret that every YouTuber already knows. So if you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, you're too late. You're never going to catch up to us that are making hundreds of millions. And but great for everybody to follow us and join us. Again, if you're on the Instagrams, ask a question. It wants me to wave at all you people, but I don't have the bandwidth to do that. And but it's telling my followers that I'm live here. I'm going to hang up on you, and you're going to have to go over to the other platforms. So Stoned Cage 9071 says, yo, what's up, Jimmy? Long time no Taco Tuesday. Well, I did take 2 weeks off because I had to go to Mexico to verify the Nora's Baja. It's more than 1,000. We can't call it the Nora 1,000 or anything because it's more than 1,000. It's a lot of kilometers, and 23, I think, on the bike course. Really good bike course. Pretty stoked, and I'll probably talk about that because I have one question in our questions. So if you wonder how to get a hold of us, how to get your question on the show, this is what you do. You would send us an email to jimmy@dirtbiketest.com. Ask your question. Any questions that I get, I don't really respond to you, or I'll say, hey, I'm putting it on the show, because this is how I do my penance. And you're asking, what are you talking about? Well, I have had more than 40 years of great experiences riding dirt bikes, and this is how I feel like I give back. So you may wonder what I've done, or why I do this, or how I know so much, or why I'm an asshole. You may wonder these things, and you can ask that in the chat, and I will answer it. But from a lot of experience, I've learned a lot of things. And I think about myself as a young rider when I didn't know the stuff I know now, and I didn't know how to tune my bike. I didn't know how to set my suspension. I didn't know what parts I should use. I didn't know, do I need this? Do I need that? The other things. I've started with that kid that was spinning tires around to get the square edge a second time. Learning how to weld when you had to weld frames. And we'll talk about this with this KTM 500 that's behind me right now in the background. Just, it's amazing how good stuff has become. I thought stuff was good back then, but I've learned a lot of lessons along the way, and I'm more than willing to share those with you on this show, because we have millions and millions of followers that are always asking me, "Yo, Jimmy, what's up?" And I try to help out here. So, yeah, Devil's Rumble 71 says they don't sell Gillette razors down in Mexico, amigo. Yeah, they do. I just didn't want to use one. I was too busy. And are we Odents? Are we Odents? Odents? Are we Odent? Yeah, see, I can't spell. I was an editor of a magazine for a long time. Still can't spell, and I don't know my left from my right. But it is good that you finally caught this live. That way you can ask questions like what blinker fluid to use. And we are going to, you know what, I'm just going to go straight over into start working on this motor, because I did a poll and I think I got 1 million answers on it, and it was 100% wait and do it live on the show. So I'm going to dive into this thing. I will come back and try to check my questions as we do this. I've got the opportunity to do this. The beard is part of my look. Yeah, thank you. It's makes me look more sophisticated, I guess. So by you people on Instagrams, I'm hanging up on you. So see, I got everybody on the Instagrams right here, and I'm gonna hang up on them because you should go over to our other channel, and you can check us out over there. You can wave at me. You can actually send us money if you go to the YouTube ones, by the way. So catch you guys later. See you. And now, okay. So I'm going to share it as a reel, but I have to call it. I don't know what to call it. TTTT. Oh, it showed 278. By the way, that's what it is. Okay, I just shared it to the world. Now back to this. So a couple things. I basically decided I needed to frame this bike, and by frame the bike, I mean I'm going to take pretty much everything off the chassis and pull the engine out. I'm just going to, I don't think I'm going to split the cases on this, but I'll see how it goes. I mean, it really kind of determines when I get inside there. It lets me know, whether I need to go any farther. So I basically got it home, pressure washed it really good, as good as I could. Drain the oil out of it, drain the coolant out of it, pulled the motor, and started just looking for things. So the first thing I came up on, and I have to see how this is working over here. I want to make sure I can see what I'm doing here. So the first thing I noticed is when I started pulling this out of the frame, here's my countershaft sprocket. I'm running a 15-tooth countershaft sprocket. And when I went to loosen it, I noticed that it was a little bit loose. And it's probably hard for you to see. It's hard for me to take this camera here and get it right up here. If I had a big production team, which I never would because nobody can stand me for that long, this was loose. And this sprocket is not a stock sprocket, and it's more worn than the shaft and the sleeve, but there is a little bit of wear on this. You would expect that after that much time, but if it was tight, it probably wouldn't happen. I also pulled out the collar, the seal collar here, and you can take a good look at that thing there. That thing is really worn, but it doesn't. It's not leaking at all. And by the way, here is the untouched oil filter, screen filter out of this bike. I haven't cleaned it or washed it. I just plucked it out and left it there so you could see. But this thing has been running really good. There's really no reason to tear this thing apart other than I put 200 hours on the piston and I wanted to do it. And I have been running a combination of just regular oil filters, and then I've also run multiple times which I've talked about on this show and other, this Taco Moto, this is a high intensity magnet filter that goes in here. I've run that a couple of times. And so these magnets and these filters and the drain plug, which is in this bucket right here. I wonder if I cleaned it off. I don't know if I cleaned it off or not. Let me see. No, I didn't. So here's the magnetic drain plug that's hooked up to my filter bolts. But so here's the drain plug, how it came out of the bike. And you could see some little things on there. That's completely normal. Like, and that is after 2,300 miles on the oil. 2,300 miles in 6-8 hour days. So, 50 hours or something on the oil. It was using oil, by the way. So just so you know, it was consuming about, each day it was taking about 100 to 200 cc's of oil. So let's get into this thing. Let's check the questions real quick while I'm at it. Let's see, go to computer 2, and we're going to the questions to see what we've got here. Show us that KTM clay piston. Okay. And Dave Donnelly, what's the real story about Toby Price? Now, Dave, how the hell would I know? And if I told you, and this is the problem with the world today, I probably know way more than most people know because I know people and I talk to people and I heard things and I did this, that, but I wasn't there and I don't know. And I'm pretty sure from what I can tell, the organization did a good job of investigating it, and they did what was appropriate. And other than that, let the keyboard warriors go do what they do. I'm not into that crap. I don't, but I can tell you what I think about what happened and all this stuff. But I know the other person that was involved, and I don't have a very high opinion of that guy. And I never have. And I would say that it was probably, whatever happened was probably his idea. That's just my guess. But then I'm just like everybody else. That's my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. Cheers. So, okay. Can we be done with that? Like, you guys should go, you should find something else to worry about. It's not a big deal. Okay. So I'm going to get into that thing. I'm going to get into that clay. I'm going to get down to that clay piston. Okay. Torx bit up top here. By the way, people always ask, like, are you doing it the right way? I'm doing it the Jimmy way. So I call this the Jimbo program. So I have had factory mechanics. I've been around factory mechanics. I am not a factory mechanic. I do things the way that I've been taught by many different guys, and so I'll just kind of talk my way through this as I do this. So essentially, I do things kind of the most efficient way that I can for the job that this thing is supposed to have. So valve cover comes off. I have sealed this valve cover in the past a little bit with a little bit of a Yamaha sponsor the show. I use it on my KTMs because it makes it faster. So I've put a little Yamaha bond around here because it has a tendency to weep and leak, and I probably will not replace this valve cover gasket unless I decide that I need a full gasket kit that comes with that gasket. But generally, these things last a long time, if not forever. So now we're at the point where I'm sitting here looking at the motor, and I want to check the valve lash. And I probably should have set it at top dead center before I did this. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead because I do want to look at the clutch. And there goes my the center rod. Here it is. The center rod out of the clutch shaft just came out because when I pulled it out, when I take the bike out of the motor, I just disconnect the slave unit off the side there. So I'm going to go ahead and get in the clutch basket because then this bike needs clutch dampers for sure. And one of the things I just did recently was I had a small leak around this area, which is the water pump cover. I had a small leak there, and I pulled it off and just checked everything out, replaced the seal, and then kind of sealed it up good. And actually, everything after that, everything was just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this guy off here. So now I'm taking off the diaphragm spring off the clutch, and I kind of, and when I'm doing this, I'm just setting everything into this bucket over here. So this basket here is going to have all my engine parts inside of it. And since I'm familiar with where everything goes and how it goes back together, I'm not super concerned about setting them in any kind of crazy order. Sometimes when I clean stuff, I will take everything, and when I clean it, then I'll lay it back out in an order that kind of makes sense. So now we've got the clutch off, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the clutch plates here as I do this. Let's see, here is this tapper, and here's this. So I use a nice chisel to take the tabs off the clutch hub bolt. And that's all. Those are off enough to get that. And I'm going to snap this clutch hub bolt. So if you have a question about what's going on, just go ahead and throw them up in the chat. I will every once in a while take a quick little break to, not wrong one, the bigger one, this one here. There we go. I will take a little break and go and answer questions, but okay, got that guy off. Here, that goes there. And then this will allow me to, usually when I have it in the motor, I'll just tap it to get to top dead center using the, I'll put it in high gear and then spin the wheel. So at this point I can't do that, so I'm going to have to use this. But I'm going to go ahead and pull my clutch plates out so you can get a look at these suckers. And this is the stock clutch. It's been in there the whole time. So as you can see, very nice. It looks really good. The way I can tell it's really good is that the steel plates are not colored, especially in the middle of the clutch, because that's where it's hardest for the heat to escape. So they're not all blue or anything like that. This clutch is actually working fine. But a stock clutch, and you can see how wet it is just from that's the normal amount of oil that's in there. You can look, and there's a certain amount of like kind of glazing on the plates. There, you can't see the hatch marks anymore because they had a lot of time on them. But that's the clutch. I may throw new plates in there. I may just be nice to my bike and throw new plates. So I'm going to pull the whole basket out right now. Always remember there's a washer underneath this washer here that goes in there. That one's always I've seen a lot of people take them apart. Remember on the KTM that these pins like to fall out, and I've seen people lose those and not have good times of that. And here's the thing. See, when this thing is this loose, this is where your clutch dampers go. That's a sure sign. And this motor had a tick to it that was clutch damper tick. And so essentially, I'll just go ahead and pull down here. This is the clutch damper inside of here on the KTM. And I will be replacing these absolutely for sure. They're probably, half the size, not half the size, but they've probably shrunk down quite a bit in there. So yeah, when that thing falls back in there like that, because it's a tight fit to get it back in there. So that's all out. That's what the clutch looks like. The inside of this motor, it looks really nice. It's super clean. And I'm going to pull this guy back out, and now I'm going to be able to spin that clutch basket to get this thing to top dead center. so that I can basically check the valve clearance. So on a KTM, you're technically, according to the manual, you're supposed to set the check the valve clearance with the motor actually being a little bit warm. But I'm doing this kind of by feel. There's a bolt over here on the side. There's a bolt in the side cover that I could pull out, and it'll actually index it into top dead center. But I can kind of just do it by feel. I actually pull a spark plug out and check it. I need to clean that spark plug journal out. But anyways, that's at top dead center, and now I'm going to feel, and they're about perfect. I have a torque wrench in this elbow, and like on these fingertips here, I have a feeler gauge. So, but I do have an actual feeler gauge. I'll go over here, pull it out, just to give you some numbers. Everybody likes the numbers. By the way, this show brought to you by you. You can help us by going to Rocky Mountain MCA TV. Click through the link on dirtbiketest.com, and it's so much easier to check valves when these things are out of the bike. Okay, so that's a nice smooth. What is that one at? 0.003 or 0.08 millimeters, and that's just barely there. I'm going to go the next one up, which is that's snug. So that's probably the real thing. So 0.0035, 0.009. I think according to KTM, that might just be a tad tight. This valve is just a little bit looser. And then I can't get the 0.004 thousandths. I can't get the 0.1 millimeter in there. I can get the 0.8 or 0.9 millimeter, but not the 0.1. On the intake side, we are about the same. Yep. And here. So they're all like right at 0.08 millimeters, 0.08, 0.09, 0.010. I think that's all just a tad on the tight side. But they want you to check this, like I said, when it's kind of warm. So I'm not worried about that. In fact, I've never adjusted the valves in this. I'm not going to start tonight. I'm going to put it back the way it came apart, just for reference. But when I'm taking motors apart, I like to check that because now would be a great time to do this. So next thing I got to do is pull out take the cam chain tensioner off. So I like to loosen up the 10 millimeter on the back first while it's attached here, so then I can get that guy off later. That's always helpful. And then I just take this guy off. And so I'm going to do another engine health check here as well. So right now I'm looking at all of this stuff that's in here, and it's fine. So this is the cam chain tensioner I just popped out. And since the spring is in there, it's pushed it out as I pulled it out. But here you can see, just based on the coloration, and you can actually see that it used to be in about, I'll show you, because it has a detent. It won't let it go back. But now I pulled the spring out, and it was in there. You can see this coloration, and this tensioner was in down like that. And then when I pulled it out, it did this. It went up. So there's still some travel in this tensioner. If it was all the way out, I would be starting to think about, okay, I need to replace the cam chain, which is now loose. It's all good. But I'm pretty sure the cam chain's healthy. I checked the decomp, look at all these different things. Everything looks good. Now time to take the cam tower retainers out here. And those are tight enough to where this tool is not going to work. So I'll get my proper ratchet and just take this off. And then after I pop this cam out here, oh, by the way, if you're wondering about my trusty engine block, it's just a few 6x6s or 2x6s that are screwed together. And again, I'm not a professional factory mechanic, because if I was, I have a custom built engine stand for this thing. But I work on a lot of different things, and this one works on almost every engine that I've ever put it in. So it might move around a little bit as I'm kind of working on it here. There we go. And there we go. Okay. Now I can make it come out quicker. So again, if you have any questions, I'm going to stop here in a second and go to the question answering phase of the show. Don't forget, we have Rooster Endo brought to you by Moto coming tonight. I think three submissions this week, which is good. That's what happens when you take a 2-week break. So it's not just a gimme like it has been in the past. So the 2 bolts here are kind of a retainer, and the cam comes out and then falls down a little bit. Then it's really easy to get the chain off, and you can move the chain out of the way or put it on the back side of the cam and continue to pull the cam out. Not too long ago on the show, I talked about the seal that goes here, and that was the cause of a lot of my oil loss in this engine, and it helped, and it's still good. But this cam looks beautiful. I have had in the past on KTMs, I've had the bearings on both sides go bad. Generally, it was from a low oil situation. Not on my bikes, on other people's bikes that I've seen them. But you just take a good look at the condition there, and everything looks really nice. Okay, question time. Question time. Here we go, computer. Here we go. Questions. Let's see what we got here. Oh boy, here we go. Let's see. Here we go. The real, let's see, Darren Moyer, right answer, Jimmy, and yeah, okay. Cheers. Cheers, Gary. I would paint that valve cover with orange frame paint. That's like extra work. It's not going to make it go any faster, so I can't help you there. Glenn says, I'm a novice rider on a, let's see here. I'm going to get to the question. I'm a novice rider on a 2012 WR250R with low miles on stock suspension. Consider a full custom revalve suspension tune or sell, and then get something more capable. Dual sport riding, single track, and camping. Is that the Yamaha, Glenn, is that the Yamaha that's kind of like the I think the WR250R, it's not the YZ based WR, it's the more dual sporty bike, or sell it and get something more capable. That thing is designed for dual sport riding. So I'm trying to think what you want, because it will do single track. It's a small bike and all that stuff. So tell me if that's the kind of the more street model, the one with the license plate on it. Mikey Burton says, how many miles and hours on that? I'll say it again. So 20,000 miles, 600 hours, 200 hours on the piston that's in there. Jeremy S4705 says, off topic, but any tips for getting second oil screen out of my wife's 2021 501S? We got it used with 167 miles on it. It has thousands now that came with that bolt strip. We have just been changing oil more. So unless something's going wrong, Jeremy, that oil filter takes a lot to get bad. But if that is stripped out, that makes me a little suspect of what happened before. So I would like to see it. It'd be interesting to know how it was stripped out. Is it the bolt that's stripped out or the case? Because that would make me a little decide how to put it on and off, pull it on and off. But I think that I would look at your other oil filter, the paper, the fabric one, and see how that thing's looking. If that thing's looking pretty clean, I wouldn't worry about the other one too much. But I think I'd want to see it once, and then I'd plug it in there. If I had to JB weld that bolt back on, I would do that, and then just not worry about it unless there was a reason to go back. So I don't know that changing the oil a lot is gonna help, because if something goes wrong and that thing starts plugging up, then that's the reason. But yeah, I would clean it once and then never worry about it again if you know nothing's going wrong with that. And then Taylor says, I love the simple mechanical beauty of dirt bike maintenance, even big jobs. It heals my ADHD one job at a time. Somebody told me that I have I'm a spectrumer or something like that. Diane Madrid says, did you leave your camel front somewhere out on the trail? Well, I kind of have a camel front, but I don't have a camel toe. Yes, the engine stand is a factory prototype. Jimbo Motorworks is the wood box 12 by 12. It's 2 by 6 is what it is. Or is it 2 by 8? 2 by 6. I'm not a construction guy, as you can tell. And Glenn says, yes, it's the plated one. So, Glenn, are you heavier than that bike is designed for? That would be my next question. Like, what's your weight? Are you over 180 pounds? Because then a simple set of springs would probably work wonders for that particular bike. They're kind of, it was more of a Japanese domestic model, and then they brought it over here. And I'm pretty sure that they didn't really go big on the spring. So if you're kind of a heavier dude, just go. There's companies like Race Tech that have spring rate calculators. You can go there and just change the springs out and maybe have the suspension service. I wouldn't really go crazy with it. You'd be surprised at how well it works. Ashlito, I think I got something for you. I just learned the Nora is the original Baja 1000. So when did Nora stop being the Baja 1000 and Score become the Baja 1000? A long time ago. Nora kind of went away and Score started, or there was some people that were part and moved. I don't remember the exact story. It's been told to me, but I try to not remember. I try to remember everything, but I can't. So, yeah, Score took over the Baja 1000 and really became the premier organization. And Nora, kind of with the sons of the two original founders of Nora, Eliseo, who is my boss, and then Mike Perlman, who was the American guy. They put it back together, and they kind of did it as a tribute and more of a vintage and kind of more of a fun event. And just recently, a couple years ago, Robbie Gordon actually bought it, and it sort of changed direction. So I will talk a little bit more about this later in the show, because somebody asked a question that they are asking about. They said, I'm going to do the Nora 500 in October. And I'm just going to tell you right now, no, you aren't. You will not do the Nora on a motorcycle in October, the Nora 500. If you want to do Nora, you should sign up tomorrow. That's coming from somebody that knows. Okay. Glenn says 220 without gear, thinking of doing a BDR. Glenn, get some springs in that sucker, and that bike will probably be a completely different motorcycle. But in all honesty, a BDR, I honestly think you're better on a slightly bigger bike. The BDR routes are very, very easy. You can do 90% of the BDR stuff in a two-wheel drive truck. And those places you want to be able to go, you just move along at a little bit better speed. Although that Yamaha goes speed, you're going to be revving it. I don't know what your fuel tank capacity is, stuff like that. But a nice KLR 650 is not a bad bike for doing a BDR as a starting place on a budget. And then, of course, if you want to do it the right way, you would be on a Yamaha Tenere. And I'm not saying that because Yamaha sponsors this show. I'm saying that if I were going to go do a BDR tomorrow, which I can because I can go out my driveway, I rode the BDR 8 times today because I was testing bikes up and down the street because I was getting some of my old rental bikes out and running some gas through them. So the street in front of my house is on the Nevada BDR. Amazing. But I would take a Yamaha Tenere. That's the best bike. My Tenere is right there staring at me, kind of mad that I don't ride it enough. Let's see. How did the GPS class at the Nora 500 go last fall? It went bad. Well, it actually went okay, but it was a learning experience for both us and the riders because I had to figure out how to make it safe, and they couldn't figure out how to follow the instructions that were on their Stella, like speed limits and neutralization zones, because they don't have a big sheet of paper in front of them that tells them what to do. So it didn't go very well. So we are not having a GPS class at the 1,000 this year, although we were going to do it if there were enough entries, and we were going to fix it. And I know how to fix it, but it's twice the amount of work. And we just said, screw it. We are doing roadbook. So there's your questions. I'm all caught up, but I am going to go to one of my sheets here because I did have a question. I told somebody I would answer it on the show here. This is from Asher, who I believe is Asher Lito, and I have something for you. Here's Asher. He went riding in the snow. And I'm not kidding. That is Asher. One more time for everybody. Here's Asher riding in the snow. Okay, so to your question. Hey, Jimmy, I have a 2001 DRZ 400E off-road model that obviously doesn't work very good in the snow, as we can see. I weigh 186 pounds with no gear. I installed fork springs for my weight for my old DRZ. Then discovered the rear shock spring was a 5.0 kilogram per millimeter, which is for a 120-pound rider. Then I installed the shock spring, which is a 5.3 kilogram per millimeter, and my sag results were free sag at 1 1/16 inch, 27 millimeters, and the race sag, which is the sag with him on the bike, was 3.75 inches. So my kind of go-to numbers in there is 1 inch and then 4 inches, but okay. My reading online says I need a stiffer shock spring. Race Tech is the only sells a 5.4 and has a 5.7, and the spring calculator says I need a 5.7 spring, but I feel that is too stiff of a jump. What is your advice? I am not flush with cash, but you got a lot of snow in your pockets, so I'd hope to get the spring rate right the first buy. I kind of understand where you're at. So springs, it's interesting. Springs, it depends like on the tool you're using to measure them. And if Race Tech is selling a 5.4 and your stock is 5.3, I would suspect that the 5.4 is a stiffer spring. You're right, going to the 5.7 is too much. But your sag, let's see, if you got your race sag at 95 millimeters with an inch, I'm doing some math in my head right now, thinking about, because your free sag 30 millimeters and then 95 millimeters, that's right in the ballpark. That's not really out of range with that stock spring. It's close because your free sag is a little bit on the short side, but I would actually try cranking that stock spring up so that you're in the ballpark. I don't know if I want to go that much stiffer, and I don't remember that bike and where I liked it, but 90 to 95 millimeters sounds like a good place to be. So yeah, and it would be more of, I would set it, see how the bike worked, and with that stiffer spring in there, it's transferring more weight to the back, so it's actually asking that shock to do a little bit more. So it wouldn't hurt to add a little bit of spring to the back. But I would ride it, and if it feels like it's using too much stroke in the back, like the back is doing not good things, then it would definitely be a time for the shock spring in the back to match the front. So here's the thing. Next question. It says, Scott asks, my son and I, acquired a 24 WR250F that, as the original owner, had gone head on into a moving minivan. Okay. The frame and the entire front end was destroyed. Over the winter, my son has pieced it back together and now has a very low hour bike for a fraction of the new price. He's wanting to do a complete race build and will need the competition ECU and CCU to program the thing. Yes. Our question, will the GYTR kit for the 20 bike work on this, or is the 24 version still available? He has some part numbers and stuff. And so I think if you have a 24, so I'm thinking Yamaha did not upgrade the 25 WR, but they only bring a limited, what I've been told, they only bring in a limited number of those competition ECUs over. And so they sell out, and they have in the past. So I think a 25, as long as the WR didn't switch, and I don't think it did. It didn't get the upgrades to the new YZ just yet. You should be okay. But a dealer would probably know a little bit more about that than I do right now. But yeah, you need to get that competition kit, because that's what makes that work. Or if you're not worried about having your fan and your headlight work, you can use an FX. You can use a 24 YZ250 FX. Actually, 23 would be better. YZ250 FX ignition. So Daniel, good luck with that. But consult your Yamaha dealer. But you should be able to get the parts for the correct bike, unless it's sold out. And if it's saying it's upgraded, then they know. They wouldn't put it on the parts fish if it wasn't the right thing. So let's see if we have any more questions coming in the chat. Ashleyito says it's the bottom of the threads in the shock. So you've cranked it, but the thing, Ashleyito, when you're cranking it down, if it runs out of threads but there's still free sag, the shock is fine. What you don't want to do is have to crank that spring down so much that there's no free sag. The free sag and the race sag, as you call it, we call it just sag in general and free sag, but free sag is with no rider on the bike. If you have no free sag, you have too soft of a spring. But if you're in that range where you're at right now, it's the right spring. It doesn't matter where the threads are on the thing. And you could put a spacer if you're worried about the threads. You can put a spacer in there to space the spring up to get more use of those threads if that's what you needed. I have on one of my Husabergs, I have a titanium spring that's quite a bit shorter than the normal one, and I have a spacer in there, so yeah, it's not a problem. The Real Taylor C4 says, can you talk about what to do, not to do in the 4 to 6 weeks leading up to a big race, how to train without burning out and avoiding injuries, etc.? Are we training consistently all the time, or have we done nothing and now it's 4 weeks out and we want to train up for the event? That is the question here, because if 4 to 6 weeks leading up to a race, you should I would say you should be, hopefully you're in the flow of things and nothing really changes. If you're worried about getting injured, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. Let's see. Yes, I got hurt last fall, 6 weeks before the 500. Okay, so yes means you haven't been training. recently. It you, in training, you don't want to do things that get you to the point of injury. So there's times when you work on certain things where you may get injured, like generally it's raw speed or kind of overcoming a fear of something that you need to work on. But if at any time when you're working on that you feel like you're going to crash, something's wrong. You need to figure out what that is and go back and work on it so you don't crash. Because if you practice crashing, that's what you're doing. And all the people that say if you're not crashing, you're not trying hard enough, no, you're being an idiot. That's all you're doing. So I would say if it was 4 to 6 weeks, I would just start putting as much time as I could on the bike and making sure I was riding within my limits and start to learn about where my endurance is and what it feels like when I start losing my endurance. So on the weekends when you have the time, put in some long days, put some 6 or 8 hours on the bike and see how your body feels the next day. Because in a race like Nora, you're doing that for 6 days straight. So it's kind of teaching yourself, because most people they get into a zone they're not even familiar with and they have no idea how to react to that. So you want to simulate what you were doing. And he says, I was getting in shape, eating right, went on a Colorado trip and ended up on a sketchy single track on a desert bike. That's normal. Yeah. So more, I would say, more time on the bike. And let's see. Nora let me keep my deposit for this year. Thankfully, back at it, healthy, working back towards the 500. Well, like I told you, there will not be a 500 at Nora this year. They've kind of already decided that there will be no bikes at the Nora 500 this year. And whether there's bikes at Nora's Baja next year, that is yet to be determined. If we don't have 40 entries at the Mexican 1000 or the Nora's Baja this year, if there are not 40 entries, this guy will not be coming back to make a bike only specific course. And that's the only way I'm going to do it. I'm not going to say, hey, start in front of the cars and hopefully don't get run over. That's not me. I was brought on to help with safety and some other things. And now I get to make my own course, and it's expensive. It costs Nora a lot of money. And so they're losing money with me, and but they're committed to going this year, and we'll see how it goes. And Ashley says, thanks for the help. And if the rear is too soft, yes. If Ashley, if the rear is still too soft, your sag's in a good place. If you don't like the way it's working, if it doesn't feel like it's working in conjunction with the front, that 5.4 will probably be the right choice. So okay, back to my KTM 500s. I want to see this piston, boys and girls. Again, if you have questions, leave them in the chat. If you're listening to this as a podcast or watching it in the future at some point, you can always comment on those things wherever you're watching it. There's ways to comment or just send me a photo over at jimmy@dirtbiketest.com. You can buy me a beer and then I might answer your question. I'll answer on the next episode. So camel front. I'm filling it up right now. Okay. Oh yeah. Tonight's tequila. Rabaconda tequila. That's right. The guys that make the tire changing machine went down to Baja for their Baja Throttle Fiesta in 2026, and now they're brewers of tequila. Not really. They just relabeled the bottle, which is probably completely illegal, but I don't care because it came to my house, and I will have some right now. This is actually pretty good. It's got a flowery hint to it, by the way. Just saying. So it's in here in the shop because it's kind of like my Rabaconda, very important part of the Jimbo program. So earlier I got the cam out of there. So cam chain tensioner took it out, cam towers took it out. So now, since those bolts are out, I could pull out the rocker arms and stuff, but I don't really need to. I don't really want any of this stuff to fall out. So I'm just going to take the head off as a unit. And now I'm going to have to get my big wrench and crank the hell out of these cylinder stud bolts. So I'm going to position this in here so it doesn't fall over. And those are a nice, I believe, 8mm. Nope, 8 is this one. Este, this guy here. That's it right there. And I could probably hit it with my impact. It'd probably be the easiest way to do this. Oh yeah, I'm going to need to use a special tool here. I thought I had a big one, but I no. Here's go this here, this here. I can take this here. This will be the easy. Yep, that makes it easy. Production line around here. If you're wondering why or how I do certain things, I explained that at the beginning of the show. Well, so there's these 4 big bolts here. Okay, so we got those guys out of there. And now I'm going to set this up. And this is where I've watched guys whack their motor into submission, trying to get this head off, only to realize that down behind this cam cover, there is a nice long 8mm in here. Don't forget this, boys and girls, because you will break your motor. See that guy in there? There's a bolt in there that's very, very important. So now we got this guy. Pull these guys out. I reuse these, by the way. Some people say you need to replace them. Again, I'm not a factory mechanic, but this is a factory bike. It was made at the KTM factory. So you're going to get to see the inside of a KTM factory bike here. So now we'll go ahead and pull the cylinder head off. And that's what that beauty looks like. That is very nice. You probably, and I'm just don't want the don't want the shims to fall out of the valves right there, so I don't want to hold it upside down too long. Head gasket, and then the piston also looks pretty good in there. That's a pretty clean looking. There's a little bit of deposit inside there. I mean, we were running PMEX, sometimes the regular, the last, in the last section and stuff here. But if I wipe this, you can feel there's a little bit of grain up there and stuff. But it looks really good. So now we're gonna see what she looks like when I pull the cylinder off. So cylinder's coming up here. So a lot of times you have to take the cam chain, get it out of the way so these things can kind of compress, and take that guy off. There we go. And that cylinder looks really good. To my knowledge, this motor has not sucked any substantial dirt. And that thing looks really good. There's a couple little tiny, like there's one kind of like, I'll call it a highlight on there, but I can dig my fingernail into it and I can't feel anything. But overall, that looks really good. And the piston, wow, that's doing pretty good overall. So what I'm gonna do is get some more paper towels here, because I don't want to. I mean, the good thing is the motor's out, so if I do drop something into it, it's not like impossible to get stuff out. But this will make it easier. And then I'm gonna reach in there with a little pick and see about plucking out that circlip. So let's see how this goes. And when I put my circlips in, I think I talked about this last time. I index them. I usually index them at 12 o'clock on the top or down. And this one has definitely migrated a little bit. I'm always kind of trying to pay attention to, but I always put them always up at the top or down at the bottom. And it actually migrated to where a place that I don't like. It's in the slot that you use to extract them and put them in. But so I had to have to push it a little bit to get that clip so I can grab a hold of it in some way. And I think I'm gonna have to get a little bit stronger pick. Where's my 90-degree one? There we go. Got this one has a little 90-degree in there, so it's a little bit easier to pick it out. So let me see. And sometimes you go in there with a needle nose pliers and get them. Okay, I've got it picked out now. Now I'm going to get my little needle nose and these guys right here. And grab this sucker. Don't let go. There we go. Third clip is out. And then wrist pin will come out. So it shouldn't be. See how tight that thing is in there. And then I'll get you a close up of the piston, but it's a little tight in there. So what I'm gonna do is take this guy here, and then so I'm gonna use my T handle and hold this and then push it. So I'm not putting, when I do this, I'm trying not to put any force on the side, like a side load on the crank when I'm doing this. So there we go. So I push that guy out without doing too much, and we have it out. And there is the beautiful piston. Like I said, it's a Wiseco. I have been, in the past, I have been putting in only OEM pistons in the KTM 500s because I've had such good luck with them. But I went ahead and decided to take a chance, essentially. Wiseco is kind enough to say, yeah, do it. And I'm not disappointed at all. I'm pretty happy. Let's see. Let's tap this pin out a little bit more here. Get this pin out and take a look at it. If there's anything that I'm seeing on this right now, is my pin looks like. Put that thing in there a little bit closer. There we go. So I'm pretty sure this was a coated pin, and you can see that the coating is worn off there. And then as I'm looking down at the small end there on the rod, it has some, but it feels there's no movement at all on that. That thing feels really tight, but it's got some time on it, a lot of time on it. So one of the other things I kind of usually will quickly do is just kind of give the rings a little check. Everything is super free. The rings are moving easily. I'm going to pop this ring out, and I'm going to drop it in here, and then I can take with my piston and get it squared up in there, and then you can go in and see the ring end gap, which you'll see if you can see it. It's right. It's sort of right there. Put it in the camera. Let's see. There we go. And I can eyeball it and tell you it's within spec. It looks really good. So, did I have to do this? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, 200 hours and there's still some, because usually the pistons will wear here and here, and then kind of through rock. I would almost say that you could put this you could put this piston back in with a new set of rings and be, I mean, it doesn't need it. That's the thing. The end gap shows me that I don't really need it, but I wanted to see. So there are. And it's not really, there's no indication that it's burning oil. It looks pretty, everything looks pretty good. This rod is, from what I can tell, as tight as can be. Everything is, yeah, that rod is just brilliant. There's not a lot of lash. So on this motor right now, the only things I'm even worried about the slightest bit is this output shaft, like I showed you at the beginning. The sprocket that I used got a little bit loose on it, and so it's showing a little bit of wear. But like the clutch basket, everything inside of anything I could see when I had the whole side cover off when I replaced the impeller shaft seal, everything looked beautiful inside of there. It's this motor's leaking a little bit up here at a gasket, kind of maybe it's the starter motor O-ring or something. It's just leaking. I mean, just weeping, not really leaking. I wouldn't even call it weeping. And I haven't seen anything bad come out of this motor. All the jets must be squirting oil where they're supposed to. So pretty happy. There we go. So 200-hour Wiseco piston. It definitely passed the test. I'm going to throw another one in there. I have another one, and it's going right back in there. And this motor heading probably right back down to Mexico when I go down for Nora's Baja. So there we go. I'm going to go back to the questions here, and then we're going to get to our Rooster Endo segment. Okay, Jimmy Crowell says 2017 Husqvarna 501 fan not turning on. Tested the fan hooked directly with a battery and it works. What should I do next? Temp switch is in the side of the engine block next to the spark plug. Is it? Isn't the temp switch down on the bottom of the radiator? I don't know. I'm pretty sure that it's on. I'm pretty sure. I don't know about the Husky, but I know in the KTM the temp switch is on the radiator, and I have seen those fail. Not very often, but they have. But I would check to make sure that your wires are good, because if there is something that's weak on the KTM stuff, it's the wires are very thin. So give that a check. See how that works. But you can tell if your wires are bad. Just jump the connection on that thermal switch that's on your radiator. Just connect the wires there and see if it goes. So let me know how that works out for you. Eric Hugan, the Wolfman, says cheap beer. That is correct. I enjoy cheap beer, but you could send me a lot of money and then I would still drink cheap beer. And we could debate what to drink all night long. But I had expensive tequila. Jeremy 4705 says, thanks. Your shop is cleaner than I had in mind. I listen to pod, but it's my first time watching. I'm sorry. I can make it dirtier. I clean it up a little bit for the show, but it's not. I mean, there's so much stuff going on. Like even right behind me now, if you look on the ground, it's hard to see with the flasher. I'll switch to the other thing, so you can't see it either. Let me turn the chat off real quick, and you might be able to see it. There we go. So I was actually going to talk about this, which these down here are chains that are in an arc. Well, I'm pushing them the wrong way because everything's backwards on camera, including my brain. So I have these chains here, and I was going to explain, one way to kind of test chains. You can see how much they flex because my chain is kind of worn out, and it was rubbing on a lot of stuff it shouldn't have been rubbing on. So I could have been talking about that. So yeah, thanks for the clean shop thing. Usually there's Husabergs blown up all over the place inside of here. I'm sorry. Know the mechanic. Know your size, San Felipe Bob. The factory KTMs use ceramic pistons. No, they use bubble gum. We know this. Only Yamahas use real aluminum forged pistons. The show is brought to you by Yamaha. Even when I tear apart a KTM and tell you how awesome it is and how much time I put on it and how much I really enjoy that bike. Yamaha trusts in what we do here at Dirt Bike Test. So if you're looking for a YZ two-stroke that's simple, it has a Kickstarter and a carburetor, Yamaha has those. If you want the easiest to tune four-strokes with the Power Tuner app, which I get asked all the time, the Yamaha, it didn't win our damn shootout, our 450 shootout. That's because I didn't ride there because I would have, filtered the results to make it win. But they even used my map and they still said the Yamaha was too powerful. So that's what you get if you don't know how to handle all that power. You don't win the shootout, evidently. So Trevor's got some videos coming up on our 450 off-road shootout, so you can check that. Jeremy 4705 says bolt head was stripped from previous owner's mechanic. I don't want to mess up the case. We'll send it. Let's see. The bolt head. When were we talking about the oil drain plug? and the previous owner didn't have a mechanic. He had a hack. I mean, I don't even strip those things. Last one, says Jeremy. I just got a 25 TE 300 TBI. I don't even need to answer the rest of this question because if you would have bought a Yamaha, you wouldn't have any of these problems. But I'll go ahead and read the question. 70 hours on it, but crazy spooge. FMF 2.1 because Truckee, California. TSP ERM and medium compression head. Rips better than my 20 TX, but spooge on swing arm. Right crank seal was replaced. Okay, like which bike is there anything stripped out on this? So I know that in the last few years, the Austrian group KTM has been increasing the amount of oil that they are having the ECU put in. But since you've replaced it with a TSP one, I have no idea what that's doing. So I can't say. A lot of times the guys that are tuning those things, the last thing the aftermarket wants to do is have your bike blow up on you. So I need another beer to finish this sentence. So in reality, they're probably playing it extra safe there. And you may not rip as hard as you think that you may not rip as hard as you think so it's putting in oil for somebody who's going to send it harder than you. That makes sense. And so maybe that's what's happening. Or as I think about it more, maybe the person that owned this bike before you didn't rip very hard at all and they packed that muffler full of goop and all you're doing is blowing it out. So you're ripping enough to cause enough pressure in that muffler to push their old goop out. So maybe a muffler repack would be in order and then you can rip with a clean swing arm, Jeremy. I hope that helps you. Let's see. Well, yeah, it's stoned cage. What do you think I just did? I fixed the problem. Hey, Jeremy, you can ask questions on this show. It's absolutely fully what this show is for. It's to handle your questions. Like Russell Lent 5479. There's a lot of big numbers in here. WR450 or CR450X with a question mark and thoughts. Russell, do you understand and realize that this show is brought to you by Yamaha, the makers of the amazing WR450 that took Jimmy to a DNF at my last race because I didn't want to ride any more hoop-de-doos. And my thoughts on it compared to a Honda CR450X. I do have thoughts on this. I tell you that stock for stock, if you can get a stock WR rolled off the showroom floor, which is kind of rare because generally the dealers know how to make them proper. But if you just took a stock WR versus stock Honda, the Honda is a much better bike because it is what we would call unrestricted. Honda, you get the full throttle, and it you can take a stock Honda and just take it out and ride it. Is it limited? Absolutely. But the Yamaha stock is limited way more. Most of us, me included, take my WR and we put the competition ECU in the included kit that gives you full throttle range, and you take a thing out of the muffler and you take a restrictor out of the intake, and then that bike is quite a bit more than the Honda 450X. In fact, it's a lot more than the Honda 450X, but it's still quiet. At that point, if you do what the GYTR Power Up kit does, the competition ECU and stuff, it's actually the same noise level as the Honda, but it has a lot more boost and balls and stuff like that. Then you get into the rest of the bike. So once we talk about kind of getting to that point, it depends on what you're going to do. Are you going to put a muffler on it? Are you going to, and I run most of mine with an FMFQ. My WR has that on it. And other than that, the motor is stock. I just, put some maps to it because the power tuner now works, which is awesome. So you can really tune the Yamaha and make the motor into anything you want. The Honda, you're kind of stuck with what it is unless you go with aftermarket, some aftermarket ECU stuff. And I don't think it has the same tuning capabilities there. Chassis for chassis, they're kind of the same thing. I think the Yamaha is a tad more aggressive in setting and a little more kind of playful and fun, where the Honda is a little bit more tame, although they're nothing like they were even 4 or 5 years ago. They've both really kind of upped the game. They're not these quote trail settings anymore. You can take them out and race them. Put them on a motocross track. Now they're not going to perform that well, but you can do almost anything short of that. I mean, you can jump them and you can hit hoops. They work out. Mm-hmm. And Jeremy came clean. There is nothing stripped out on the TE because he got it new, and he won't let a shop touch it. And he doesn't rip, but the bike does. Okay, so if you got it new, then you loaded up the muffler. Did it do the spooge thing when it was stock? That's my question. And if it did, and I don't know if on that the I think there's some tuning available on the TSM, whatever it was called. I think there's some tuning. You could actually dial back your oil capacity. So yeah, you just there's a lot of things. Change the two jack packing 2 times. Okay, so you're responsible for the spooge. I would look at seeing if there's a way you can roll back some of the oil injection stuff. Selma, do not step on the keyboard, bud. You are show everybody your butt, okay, and go away. Thank you. That's Selma, the shop cat there, by the way. And Russell says, I'm leaning towards the WR. I'd be changing the exhaust and tuning the ECU. Yeah, I think, especially since Yamaha does sponsor the show, I have to say there's absolutely nothing wrong with that decision whatsoever. I ride one. I like it. I really do enjoy it. My WR, people say, well, when do you ride your WR? When I want to have fun. When the traction's good and I really want to rip. I just got my WR 250 all put back together because I had to steal some parts on it for my Hare and Hound bike. And I'm ready to go rip that thing up on the trails tonight. So not tonight, tomorrow. It's cold again. It was hot the other night. Stone Cage says, got any tips for a beginner motocross rider for riding and maps? Okay. I'm 6 foot, 185. Okay. So you're almost perfect. Everything on the bike is stock till the slip on FMF comes in. So Stone, I forgive me for not knowing everything, but what bike are we talking about? I'm still on Jeremy's Husky or something like that. Jake Christie says, yo. Okay, yo. Jake, what are you drinking, bud? I got some Sizzurp or something like that? Or do you need some Rabiconda tequila like me? 250 hours TX TPI, which is now the wife's. No, her ex-trainer main bearing failed. You are right. TPI lean and TBI rich for safety. Yes, spooge stocks, friends do the same. Okay, and Stone says 2026 YZ250F. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Dude. Well, that's a great bike. I have the 26 FX and I'm loving it. So it kind of depends on what you feel like as far as the riding the maps. It kind of depends on what you feel. Have you tried the different maps that Yamaha supplies? They have some good ones in there, and they're quite a bit different. And because it's interesting that they'll have one that's like, slow or muted or low traction or less hit. They have different things, and sometimes riders don't like that. It's because it's not where they tuned it isn't where that rider is riding it, and that's the awesome part about having that ability to go in and tune it. So I would say what I would do is I would put, stock is all zeros. I would put an aggressive map in map 1 and a muted map in map 2, and go out to your track and ride one lap with one, switch it, ride one lap with the other, and see what you notice. And some people don't notice anything, and then good, don't worry about it, just enjoy the bike. But if you do notice something, say, and then you start saying, I like this character here. Like maybe you like the muted low end of the traction map, but then it doesn't respond as well up top. And so it's like, hey, can I take a combination? All you have to do is kind of look at the numbers in the map, and then kind of start adding or subtracting some stuff. Don't be afraid with that app. It's really hard to go too far. Yamaha's not going to let you blow the bike up. So you can kind of play with those numbers and kind of come up with some. And like us nerds, sometimes we change a lot of stuff. Like you can change the values of where it's changing it on the sides of the map. So and if you say, hey, I really like this map, but I wish it did this, reach out with something like that, because I have a bunch of different maps that I've kind of built, and I tend to like they're kind of aggressive maps for somebody that's always talking about wanting a smooth power, because I typically ride a gear high, and if I ride a gear high, that aggressiveness gets mellowed out by the gear I'm in. So there's so much stuff that you can play with, and don't be afraid to try it. And like I said, other maps are like an email away, and there's a lot of different guys that have different maps, and you go on any of the forums, and there's different maps from different riders and different characteristics. But it's really you want to really aim towards making your own map, I feel. So that's it. And Gary says there's no spooge to clean up if you're riding a 4-stroke. Well, Gary, that's not necessarily 100% true, because your 4-stroke can like spooge other places. Like it can spit oil out the overflow. Like mine likes to spit it out the crankcase breather into my air filter, and then it'll run down the side of the frame, just for instance. So it's oily kind of mess. Okay, so if you are listening to this show and you have a question, feel free to email me, Jimmy at Dirtbike Test. Sometimes we have discounts from some of our amazing sponsors. We're not really giving away any free Yamahas as of yet, but we're not working on that. we're just here with our millions and millions of viewers, giving you good motorcycle and motorcycle product related advice. RV it's my name is pronounced RV. Okay. Do you still rip a 125 2-smoker occasionally? The answer is yes. If you look behind me, maybe you can even see no, it's too dark back there. My YZ125 is kicking it right back right back over there. It's waiting. I haven't taken it out because it hasn't been good. The right conditions. Let's say when it's been wet, I had some Husabergs that were talking to me with new tires on them and other stuff. And then I like riding that thing when the sand tracks are wet out here. After you're taking a class at the Tour Tech Rally and also taking your class in Frump, I took your advice on getting a smaller bike, polish up on technique, and it has really helped me a ton over the years. Thank you. Well, thank you. Thanks for reaching back out. The only reason I said that is because I know it works. I've seen so many times that, you know, especially guys that got into it in the adventure side and they want to be adventure bike riders, and it's this thing, and it's because you see motocross bikes or, like, you know, race bikes doing backflips and jumping supercross jumps. You're like, I don't ever want to do that, but you'd be amazed at how much fun that the smaller bikes are, and there's a lot less penalties in weight when stuff goes wrong. Back to our mapping question, says Stone Cage. I'm running the smooth linear map 1 and running the hard hitting in map 2. I'm going to mess around with it some more and try to make mine in the middle of the 2. Thanks, man. Yeah. So yeah, like the it it's again, it's sort of, they try to make the bike, you know, stock is the best for everybody, but it's sometimes all you have to do is take one little zone of a stock map, and you can just add some ignition or add some fuel. And the way you want to think about it, and I've said this many times, the way I describe it to somebody who's maybe not an expert at this is, the way you tune fuel injection is you think about fuel as traction. Okay, so when you're adding fuel, you're adding traction. When you take fuel away, you're taking traction away. I don't know why that sensation is, but that's the way it is. So if you want the bike to spin up more, lean it out. If you want the bike to kind of get better traction, kind of build a little, the RPM a little slower, add fuel. Okay, so think about that in the fueling. For the ignition, which is the timing, you want to think about it like this. It's throttle response. It's what you feel in your wrist. If you want more wrist response, plus on the ignition. So advance the ignition. If you want less throttle response, like the throttle's a little too touchy, take ignition away. We call that retard. Kind of like what some people called me sometimes, was retarded. So you're going to retard the ignition if you want less throttle response. So think about it that way, and it makes it really easy. But also pay attention to where in the throttle. And I've gone to the lengths of actually taking like a white marker and marking a line on my throttle housing and marking 4 different lines on my throttle. So maybe I kind of correlate with what position, because it's amazing how much you're in the, I want to call it 20 to 60% range versus that full throttle where you kind of think that's where it's happening. And then take some time when you can go on an area that's nice and flat and smooth, where you can listen to what the different RPMs sound like. And so you can ride along at quarter throttle, and it might start out low RPM, but then you can go all the way to like 10,000 RPMs at a quarter throttle with no load on the motor. And that's a really rare zone to be in, but you can get there. So learning those kind of things is really helpful if you want to get the tuning done. So Ashley says, I'm thinking of getting 125 for MX and training, but I'm wondering if it would be okay on the Idaho mountain trails. You'll love the lightweight feel, but when you get up above 7,000 feet, you're gonna be hurting. And it really depends. Like the fuel injected ones do a little bit better, but they still drop some power. Man, if you can get yourself on a 200, those are even better. But the 150s are not too bad. It really, at your weight 185, you're kind of borderline on the heavy side. But if it's a carbureted bike, you're going to be changing the needle a lot. Just tell you from experience. Okay. It's an hour and a half into this amazing show. We've pulled apart a KTM 500 motor. I've talked about all different kinds of things: suspension settings, mapping, racing, what I think of rules. I don't know. And now we have Rooster Endo, brought to you by Taco Moto. That's tacomoto.co. Go there when you need stuff, especially for your, your emissions compliant bikes that you want to make into race bikes. Mike and the crew at Takamoto do a great job of telling you all the stuff that you can do to your bike. And they're actually, even though they want to sell you stuff, they're pretty straightforward, and they will tell you the right way to do it based on your budget. So kind of something good to know, that there's some good shops out there that will do this kind of stuff. That's tacomoto.co. They bring you this segment called Rooster Endo. So what is Rooster Endo, you ask? Rooster Endo is a segment where you send in a picture of your motorcycle, and make sure you send it to me at Dirt Bike Test. That's Jim Me at Dirt Bike Test. And you type in the subject line Rooster Endo, because that's the only way I'm ever going to find these things. I lose everything in my email. Remember, dumb motorcycle racer. Okay. And the things tonight. Let's watch Ashley Lido one more time. Ashley Lido. That's pretty much an endo. Okay. So first up, maybe we need an intro song and some other stuff. First up, let's see. I'll get back to the questions in a few minutes. We're going to do this segment now because we have to. First up is a 2019 Honda CR450L from Taylor, and it's refurbished Baja, built by Colton Utah of Champion ATV. I think Colton's racing the Nora 1000. This was his YouTube giveaway bike. The bike had some class wins in the Parker and District 37 by previous owner before Colton rebuilt it. That's awesome. So here's what it's got. It has the Champ ADV kits for side cover delete, thermostat delete, emissions delete, chain guard tabs removed, and chain guide reinforced. That's factory. That's smart, especially on the Hondas. You can whack that chain guide, and it hurts. IMS Core Enduro foot pegs with custom heel tabs by Colton. Source off-road subframe tail chop kit with 450X style brake light and flush mount blinkers. IMS 3-gallon tank, Baja Designs headlight, double take mirrors. We like double take. Double take makes the best accessory mirrors by far and away. Sometimes I can help you out with a discount code, just saying. TM Design Works skid plate and shark fin with BRP chain guide. New low miles 450X suspension taken off a race build. Vortex ECU. Map switch on the bar. Enduro mode is smooth, torquey, mid-range. Pro circuit exhaust. 450R camshaft. Seat concepts. Comfort standard seat. Those are nice. Scott Stamper, the best. Arc poly levers. Pro grip rally grips. Oh, I love those. Those are good. Galfer. Well, they're not Galfer anymore. It's G brakes, rotors, and pads. Faster USA rebuilt wheel set with OEM hubs, Cerakote, lace to excel rims with stainless spokes, nitro mousses inside of Bridgestones. The picture was taking someplace where he's heading up someplace. This is only a few hours before I fell off and exposed speeds with single track and broke my this and that and the other, and overall scared the shit out of myself as he tumbled down a 40-foot slope. Okay, as you can tell, I don't like talking about locations because some people really privilege those, and I like to keep them secret, but needless to say, there was a cliff involved. This bike and I survived to ride again. I'm healthy and slowly easing back into riding. I'm hoping to ride the Nora 500 this year with it and would love to get it to Takamoto up with some more parts. Dude, I don't know if there's any more parts you can get on that thing, but Takamoto would be the perfect place to go do that. As for your dreams for the Nora 500, I hate to break this to you. I have been told that there will not be bikes at this year's Nora 500 because there wasn't enough bikes at Nora's 500 last year, even though we bent over backwards and took it up the rear end to accommodate all of the bikes that said they would come if we let you come. And then this year, we have the Nora's Baja, and we announced that we're doing a 10-day Nora's Baja next year. So what do you think everybody says? I'll see you next year. Well, if they have bikes, and this is something I don't know, they haven't decided this yet. Unless we have 40 bikes this year, Jimmy, who is a motorcycle race director, will not be part of Nora for the bikes next year. I love the Nora Mexican crew. I love those guys. They're great guys. They put on an amazing event. they believe, what I believe is that cars and bikes shouldn't be on the same course, and that's why they pay me to come down there and design their own course, make our own road books, do all the stuff we've tried to do. We tried to make a GPS class to get more entries. We made special classes for all you donkeys. We did everything we possibly could, and still we only have a few entries. And it's not for a lack of trying. I think it's a lack of there's just enough rally events and not enough guys that have the time and have the money, because it's not cheap to go do it. So hopefully you get to enjoy a good motorcycle race down in Baja with that Chariot. What do I think about that bike? I think it roosts. I think, knowing Johnny Campbell as well as I do, and seeing him build the bikes that he builds, which are basically like this. Colton learned a lot of his stuff from racing for Johnny over the years, and things like this. They know how to get stuff done, and that's a good bike. That thing roosts. I'm sorry that it roosted you off a cliff, but things happen, unfortunately. So that's where we're at. Bike number 1 in Rooster Endo, brought to you by Takamoto. By the way, you can get this shirt at climb.com. It's Climb American Flag. Oh, tasty beverage, my friends. Okay, so let's see. What are your thoughts on the position percentage and what to do when you set the RPMs for motocross? I don't set the RPMs for motocross. I set it for where I feel I want. Sometimes I'll tighten up some of the ranges. We're talking about the Yamaha Power Tuner, which, by the way, show brought to you by Yamaha. Yamaha makes the Power Tuner. It's free. You can have a Yamaha Power Tuner even if you have a Suzuki. Okay, because it's an app and it's free and you get it, and it doesn't work on your Suzuki. It only works on Yamaha 4-strokes. But anyways, I will tune if there's an area I'm really picky about the throttle. Like generally, it's like kind of like right off idle trailing throttle. There's sort of this 0 to 10% that how they come on. I might move a couple of those zones down in there so I can have a little more control at the bottom. It helps sometimes, and other than that, the stock ranges are pretty good. But throttle position percentage. Sometimes I'll compress the ones at the bottom, and then depending on how the bike works on top, I might work around on the top, or there's some other stuff. Gary says that's a slick looking 450. He thanks Takamoto. Oh yeah, yeah. The real Taylor says exactly what I said. CRF is a roost. I know, Mark. You like every Honda. Yeah, that's the way it goes there. On to Rooster Endo submission number 2. Endo. We are going to this bike here. This is Mario, and Mario submitted his. Hold on, I got a lot of stuff here, a lot of stuff going on. A 2026 YZ250F. It has an Acerbis skid plate, Acerbis X Power engine covers, Acerbis top and bottom fork covers, and Acerbis Future S fork guard. I bet you he got a discount from Acerbis or something like that. Anyways, bulletproof designs rear disc guard, the best, and an XPR gas cap vent elbow. He's someplace in Canada, eh? That's CA for Canada. He says, thank you for your time and your knowledge about dirt bikes. And he says, it's me, Mario Stone Cage from YouTube. I should have known. Stone Cage. Okay. Let's see. He's in the chat. He better be chatting up his bike here, because this is the picture you sent. And is that snow on the ground? Because out here in the desert, we don't know what that is. I think he's throwing a shaka, and I don't know what that could be, flipping me off in Canadian, because that's probably what would happen. But that is a sweet Yamaha, no matter what. And I think we've been talking about getting that bike set up. I'm pretty sure that since it's a Yamaha, it rips. I don't know why you wouldn't have handguards, though, to protect your little fingers, but you Canadian guys are kind of hard. So I know that you don't come out of the from underground that often when it's snow like that. But yeah, I thought there would be more to the photo. I really did. I actually took the photo and I went up. I like, oh, I can't see the wheels. I went down. I thought maybe you'd zoom in. Your buddy could have squatted down a little bit more or something and got the better photo, but that's it. Did you? I don't know if you apologized for the photo, but the photo sucks. Bike rips, and since this show is brought to you by Yamaha, I am obligated to say that no matter what, that this bike rips. Thank you for supporting the Blue Crew, Mario. Uh, Even though I don't know your real name, I kind of do know your real name, Mario. But Cage Stone sounds good. I don't know what the chat thinks. Let's see if you converted him. He has no studs. He's throwing a Canadian flag out A, and lots of Yamaha blue. That's good. Awesome. Yeah. Hey, I love the participation here. Even if you just show up once for Rooster Endo and put your bike in, that's great. Hey, I'm always curious, like, where are people watching this from? All 33 million of you. Where is everybody at? So that way I can make more sarcastic comments or piss people off. I got rid of all the Australians. That didn't take very long. They're a little soft, but you Canadians are a lot tougher. Some of you guys, you send me beer, you send me some Molson, the good stuff, I guess, and then somebody sent me some real Canadian Crown Royale, which was very nice. But there's also a bunch of Canadians that were supposed to come down here and rally train, and then my president evidently said we were going to buy you or something like that, and then he wouldn't let you cross the border, and you didn't come over and train, and you didn't buy all my bikes because I have a lot of KTM 500s with rally equipment on them for you to take back up to Canada. I'll get you the paperwork. It's all good. Okay, enough about me. Back to Rooster Endo, and we're on to Bruce. Okay, this is our third submission for the night. This is Bruce. He says, "Hey Jimmy, I've attached a couple of pics of my Rooster Endo submission. My bike is a 2024 KTM 450 XCW with the following mods and accessories." So he's completed the submission properly. He sent a picture. He put Rooster Endo in the comments, and he told me what it was so I don't have to guess. So here we go. He has the Enduro Engineering radiator guard, skid plate, disc guard, brake switch, brake pedal, tip. Okay, that's nice. That's all the stuff. We like bulletproof designs, but I'm just saying that out loud. FMFQ muffler with spark arrestor. That's a good choice. That's what Jimmy runs most of the time. Molecule Motorsports flag handguards. KTM PHDS bar mounts with soft dampers. I can see that. Those are good. Moto minded flexible tag mount. That's for a license plate for all of us dummies over here. Moto minded makes some really good stuff. Solid performance, suspension revalve and sprung for his weight. KTM Design Works chain guide, bulletproof design swing arm guard. There we go. Got the see, and the thing that's important, you got the thing. That's good. Bridgestone X31 rear AT. Oh, you're going Bridgestone Dunlop, and then you got a Vulcan Enduro, and you're going back to an AT82. You got the tire roulette going on there. What that is? Yeah, I like the Bridgestones. Haven't really been a fan of the Dunlops. If the dirt, it's always any tire's good when the dirt's good, but they're great when the dirt's great. But when the dirt's not great, they're less than that. Install the quicker cam throttle and run in the aggressive map almost all the time. I know it is nice. I can dial it back with the map or the TCS if I get tired or super slippery. I really like this bike. It's a good do everything bike. Plenty of power, but not hard hitting. I ride dual sports, trail ride days, a little moto, vet track. And this year I'm going to do a few enduros. My riding is always with one or both of my adult kids, Elijah and Zach. As I become an old fart, who's going to be 63 in April, the roles are reversed now. They worry about me and make sure I don't do anything too stupid. Man, you're so lucky. That's pretty cool. I mean, to think that you get to go riding with your kids, and if you can get them to load and unload your bike, and wash it, that's even better. Change the air filter, bonus, tires. Yep, they should. I think they really should because you probably did that for them. The pics are at a famous riding off-road spot someplace. It's a membership riding area. That's cool. His son is on the other picture that I didn't show. Yep, thanks, Bruce. That's pretty cool. It looks like you're getting muddy and having fun with that thing, and that's a really really sweet ride. I'm just a softie tonight. I'm gonna go roost because you got a bitchin' bike. You're out there using it, riding with your kids. You talk about a family sport. You have access to some good stuff. I mean, back east, you guys are doing well when you're able to get some of these private riding clubs and stuff. That's awesome. Take a trip out here and ride in some of our public lands, your public lands, and you just have to throw a big tank in that sucker because you don't have gas stations out here. So good times. Okay, I think that roots. So now comes the time when we have to Concord, California, Bay Area. Eh? I'm Canadian too. Okay. Yep. I knew you were going to talk shit about the pick. Yeah, my buddy sucks at taking pick. Yeah, your buddy sucks. Tell your buddy that your buddy could have cost you the $100 gift certificate from Taco Moto's Rooster Endo, just because I really do. But the other two photos aren't anything to brag about either. I'll tell you. Yeah, I mean, I don't expect you to be a studio photographer or anything like that, but it's better than in the garage. We got 3 outdoor pictures of bikes. If we go look at it, we've got a nice right side profile, another right side profile, and then to top it off, another right side profile. But in all honesty, here's the way. Here's a moment behind the brain. You don't want to go in here, but it's so when I look at Tyler's bike, he already has all the shit. He's got the stuff. That bike's dialed, doesn't need anything. Mario's bike is pretty stock, but his photo's really bad. And Bruce's bike, it can use some stuff. I'm sure Taco Moto has the most stuff for this particular bike, and he's not in Canada, which I think could present some stuff. So, and I was expecting Mario to run a little more. I was expecting Mario to run a little more ragged inside the chat room there and see what we did. Bruce, we just did the ECA Enduro this past weekend in sand hoops. Well, I'm sorry about the sand hoops, but hopefully that was good. Gary says your buddy failed, and the Honda looks like the Bruiser. Yeah, the Honda does. And Stone said, okay, now we're going reverse psychology here. He says I should give it to the KTM guy. Is the KTM guy in the chat? That's the other question. What was his name? Bruce. Oh yeah, because Bruce. Yeah, he's in the chat too. It's basically the entire chat is 3 guys lobbying for their $100 Taco Moto butts. So I'm going to table this discussion for a couple minutes, and I have one more. I think I have another email or something I was supposed to read. Oh, hey, look at this. Aaron says, hi, I just saw an ad for a dirt bike test on Instagram, and it got me thinking about something. Well, it got me thinking about something too when you wrote that to me, because I've never run an ad for a dirt bike test on Instagram. But what the hell? Let's go there. Would you consider us locking in a minimum of 20,000 a week in new sales in the next 14 days by optimizing your email and SMS marketing? If we don't hit that, you don't pay. Oh, of course. Yeah. We're already seeing the results with 3 brands similar to yours, and I'm 100% confident we can replicate those numbers for you. If we can't bring in 20K in additional sales by the end of the following week, you don't pay. Are you open to a 15-minute chat to go over how it works? Thanks, Aaron. Hold on, let me respond to this right now. Dear Aaron, what are you wearing? Send. Okay. Now they got that out of the way. What other things did we learn over the past couple weeks? Trevor is doing 450 off-road comparison. They had a Triumph, a Kawasaki, a Honda, a KTM, and a Yamaha. And they had our usual cast of characters ride them out there. They didn't invite me because they thought I would be too biased or I'm too fast for those guys. So they don't want to ride with me. I told them to bring them out here, and they just went to Kuya and round them around on their little loop. So Colton says that's a scam. No, it isn't. She's going to send me naked pictures. I promise. and Mark, it says appreciate the Yamaha looks the most needy. Does look the most needy. I agree with that. I just wanted you to hear talk shit about my bike. It'd be better for shipping. The Yamaha needs Takamoto love. Should give it to the KTM guy. Let's see here. I got to sign Honda's pictures. Cool. Those bike. I already try to kill him. Yeah. Jeez. I can't decide. I tell you what. No. I was gonna say I took a couple weeks off. Maybe I could double down because I like both you guys. But I might have to play paper rock scissors. It's getting difficult on my feet here. Let's see. So we've torn apart a KTM 500. Everything looks good. It's gonna go. I don't know when it's gonna go back together. Probably tomorrow. Maybe the next day. Other things in the. Was there any other? Oh, I know what. So in Baja, I had a failure. I'm gonna go grab a little part here. So I had this is an interesting story, good one. So I had a fuel pump failure. It left me stranded in the middle of Mexico. Luckily, I was with some cat named Rick Braybeck, and he has a factory Honda 450 rally bike that was able to tow me 50 kilometers down the road at a high rate of speed. Good times because this stopped pumping gas. This is not a Takamoto product. This is another much less expensive drop-in option that had, let me look at the gas tank because I wrote it down. It had 460. So it had 180 hours. 180 hours on this fuel pump. And so I was just riding down the road, and it kind of hesitated once, came back, and then it just went boom, 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 and died. And I was like, what is that? We had just got gas, probably 50, 60 kilometers before, and I figured, oh crap, we got bad gas. And as Ricky rode off into the sunset in front of me, I tried to message him through my Trail Tech Voyager. I tried to do a buddy alert, but he got over the next rise, so he's out of radio range. And so he did another 40 kilometers and finally came back to get me. When he finally came back to me, I had my gas tank off because I realized it was a fuel delivery issue because I could not hear the fuel pump. I could squeeze the fuel line and not feel it pump up. I knew something was wrong, and I went down the list of different things I try. Check the fuses, no change. Check the relays. So I took the relays out of the bike and switched them around. I scribed on them 1, 2, 3, and I moved them in all different positions. No change, nothing. Then I came up with this other idea, which is actually, let me pat myself on the back. I have a Trail Tech Voyager on my bike, which actually measures voltage of the bike. So it has a sensor where it's getting its power from. It can tell you what the battery voltage is. And so I needed to know if somehow there was power getting to the fuel pump. So what I did, and here is on here, I'll pull it over to the other camera real quick so I can get a little closer. So on this, this is the external part, and here's the wires. This is a alligator clip to transfer fuel, but this is where the fuel pump plugs in. So I took this plug out, on the bike, and I took the leads off of my battery on my motorcycle for the Trail Tech Voyager, and then I powered up the bike and put the leads in there to measure the voltage coming out of the plug, and it was getting 12 volts. So at that point, I knew the power problem was someplace in here. Well, I can't do much about it because the tank was full. I couldn't drain my gas out on the ground. I mean, I could have, but I just said, you know what, we'll just tow it. So we towed it. I knew I had a fuel pump in my chase truck. We would get it to the chase truck and fix it. So I pulled it out, popped the new fuel pump on, bang, bike works perfect. Took 10 minutes to fix. I'm good again. But I had this thing in my hand, and I'm like going, I got to figure out what it is. And so I took this thing, and I started putting it to 12 volts. And anyways, I pulled the pump out because I wanted to check. And here's the pump that's out. I pulled it out, and I just took some wires and ran this to 12. Pump worked fine. This pump, actually, anytime I put it at 12 volts is fine. And I'm like, oh, what the heck? I couldn't figure it out. So I waited till I got home. And so I got home here. I hooked it up to my alligator clips, put it to a battery, and this plug right here. So if I hook it to the power, and I go like this, so inside of here, and I don't think I've did I put it always go all the way back on? It's hard to get off. So this guy inside of here, sure enough, and this sits submerged in gas. So I pulled this clip off here, and this terminal right here, you can see a little bit of corrosion, and it just wasn't getting a good contact. And obviously it had enough and gave up the ghost and left me out in the desert. So anyways, what do you learn from that? I don't know. I don't know if that is don't buy cheap shit, cheaper stuff. Always replace with OEM or replace with like the Moto 3000 hour fuel pump. Because technically, if I were to upgrade that particular kit, if I could take that less expensive, put the Moto, it's still going to run through that plug. But now I know that that's a point of failure. And the other thing I've been finding on the pumps, and I've had 3 of these strangely in the last 6 or 8 months. A lot of times when I have these problems, I have a lot of different bikes coming through here, and I've been having problems with the fuel pressure. This guy here, these things starting to bleed off pressure and not allowing the pump to build pressure. So these have been problematic lately. And when you buy a Moto fuel pump, you get a new one of these. So anyhow, more knowledge. So this is how I learn things, because I don't just take it and throw it in the can and use it. I try to diagnose what the problem is so I can learn and see how it works. So I'll talk, and it's funny, I'll talk to different guys like Taco Mike. I'll talk to him about that. Have you seen this? Is this common? Do you know about this? And just to build the base. So there is back to deciding who wins Rooster Endo. Gosh, the picture and the sounds are so clear. This is a Jeremy Latros. That's amazing. Let me see which network I'm on, because I might be on the old. I'm probably on the old. No, I'm plugged in. I'm plugged into that thing you plugged in. Let's see. The regulator has been a wear item in my experience. The regulator. Oh, the pressure regulator on the fuel pump. Let's see. Does that fuel pump working harder because it has a snorkel pipe? And no, this Dwayne. This is on a older model KTM 500 that does not have the snorkel like the new ones do. So it's actually the older pump. But the bike is an effing beast. Okay, we're back to the Rooster Endo. They're talking about like let's see, Bruce. I gotta say, Honda pick is pretty cool. Let's see. We're still trying to figure things out. Hey, Dwayne, who wins Rooster Endo, the Yamaha or the KTM? It's up to the chat. You guys are going to decide. The non involved parties. Jeremy, who wins Rooster Endo? I'm kind of leaning toward Yamaha because my obligations with sponsors, but I'm kind of worried about it being in Canada. You know, with that tariff they take off. Is the DR and the snowdrift of Rooster Endo clearly the winner? Yeah, that's this. You mean this here? Hold on, let's see. This. Why is it not loading? Try to load it again. There we go. There it is. Actually, I got to watch that again because I'm now looking at riding technique. Preloads down. Watch carefully. This is my riding coach. I can't keep it out. Preloads down, but he never comes up. He doesn't unload, and that's why he drove that sucker right into the snow. Original right there. Thanks to Asher Leto. Asher Leto, who wins Rooster Endo? I can't tell. I'm gonna figure this out before we go. Let's see. It's Jeremy says I always say Dwayne says the KTM. You know what? Because Dwayne chimed in late, asked a question, gave me a thumbs up. Bruce, I think it's Bruce. Let me check because I have to like and Asher Leto Endo into the thing. It is Bruce. Bruce, you win Rooster Endo tonight because Dwayne said so, and that's how we do this stuff. Send me an email. Remind me as soon as you can that you won Rooster Endo. And if that Yamaha picture was like 2% better, it would have won hands down. But it's Bruce is winning tonight. Send me the email. Remind me. I'll get that forwarded over to Alex at Takamoto. Get you taken care of. You have the $100 gift certificate. I'm sure that bike will love some of the Takamoto stuff. And I think see, I forgot the name already. Stoned Cage. You need to have your buddy give you $100 for taking that bad photo because he cost you. Oh, I know what else I was going to show you. Now that I'm here on the in the thing. So in Baja we ride down the beach, and a lot. And these are the engine mount bolts, and everybody's afraid of like all the corrosion and stuff. So this part of the bolt here is the only part that was corroded, which is really amazing. And the other thing, so some of the wear items, for instance, like my chain guide here, which is like gone. I mean, it needs a new lower pad, really bad. And it's, you know, you can see it's taken a lot of damage here, but that lower pad is literally getting thin. And then the buffer pads, like this thing usually has some meat on it, but it's pretty much gone as well. So this is the Acerbis kit. You know, I've run TM Design Works with a lot of success, really good. These Acerbis ones are actually really nice. It's funny because I think these are a lot harder than we think because my chain actually has a lot of wear where it's gliding on here. And then the other really cool thing, and I'll show you, is my swing arm. And I've probably greased the inside of here. There's double sets of needle bearings in here. Like, and I'm careful about not pressure washing those. Those still have really good grease, and there's no corrosion at all inside there. And I tell you what, I've spent some time on other bikes, and you ride down the beach like that, like my XR 650. I'm probably going to need a press to drive that stinking swing arm pivot out of the frame. But I was really blown away, and I don't ride in salt water, but you're getting some splash on it and stuff like that. But whenever I'm done with it, I always squirt it down with a penetrant oil, kind of around the foot pegs, around the swing arm pivots. I just try not to get it on the disc rotors and stuff, but I'll put a little coating of a penetrant oil on there to help, and it seems like it's really done good. Plus, the quality of like the seals and the bushings on the KTM stuff is among some of the best. So just kind of shout out, they do a really good job with that. The other thing I'm going to do when I pull this thing apart is when I have this off, one of the things I always like to do is I pull these out and put anti-seize on the chain adjustment bolts. That's a good thing to do. But yeah, it's getting the full lube, and the way I disassemble the bike, like I've kind of left the front of the bike, as you can see behind me, the front of the bike is still on because it'll balance on the stand. And as I build it, I'll build it from the back forward, and the front will come back off. So I'll service the shock, get that all done, kind of hook the swing arm and everything back in, because it's kind of, when the motor goes back in, it's all connected. Then it'll kind of rest on the back wheel, and then I can pull the front end off and work on it like that. If it was a complete full teardown, I would go ahead and lay it over probably right now and drop pull the forks off and do all the other stuff. But it's just easier to work it like this. I'm not going to, but there's no cracks in the frame, no cracks in the subframe. I'm blown away by, for, a 600-hour bike, that the lack of work that I've had to do to that thing to keep it running. So that's where we're at with that. One last round of questions. Dwayne says that's the closest he ever came to winning anything. Well, you helped somebody win. Yeah. You know what? That's Stoned. You can still submit. So Better Pick might do it. You just can only win one time, as far as I know. And everybody's congratulating Bruce. Let's see. The truth is, I won when I won the bike. I just wanted to show it off to the 1.9 million viewers. Oh, there's 27 million right now. So it's all good. So the Honda is really nice. Thanks, dude. It rips. Awesome dual sport Haas. Well, a bit much for trail work, but it's happy on fast, double, and single track. That's right. We've received 100 messages. So Restream says, congratulations. I would like to congratulate all you guys for putting up with me for this couple hours on a Tuesday night, because it's Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. I would like to thank all of my sponsors, Yamaha, Climb. The new Climb XC Pro gear is out, by the way. I've been wearing it. I wore it for my first 2 days in Baja, and then it was nice and hot, and it was so good for that. And then I switched back over to kind of my normal Dakar stuff because of the extra pockets. So that's the thing. Yeah, Dennis, thanks for good trip into the bike. That's what we do around here, just trying to learn and educate a little bit. So if you have questions, send me an email, comment on the shows. I get back to you on Tuesday night when I do this show. Sometimes we have cool guests. I got some cool people lined up to come in. They're kind of scared because they know me, so they're a little bit worried. I think I'm going to ruin their reputation. So RV, thank you. I will try to remember how to say your name, but if I say it the way I want to say it, it's like, are we dense, which means are we so dense, which is people said I'm kind of dense. So I took it as that. We'll keep dropping out those tips. I'm getting excited because I'm going to go riding tomorrow, like every day. And we'll see you. Make a DB t-shirt so I can buy one. We had that I tried that. I tried the merch route, and it didn't make me the millions of dollars that I expected. So it was a big pain in the ass, and especially shipping out of, you know what? I didn't realize about the shipping. We had people ordering from South Africa and from Canada. Actually, I had a Canadian guy actually import them for me. He took them over there and shipped them for me because it was a pain in the ass. He might still have a couple. I could reach out to him and we could see if we can get him not thing. But I ended up shipping them down to South Africa, and just because I didn't know any better. I mean, I knew because I had to honor my word. And the shipping was ridiculous. So, that shirt you're asking about, Taylor, those are not. Hold on, I'll go get one. Those are not for sale. These are like the exclusive. He's talking about this shirt right here. I have one because I have my wardrobe in the other room, just in case you're wondering. Because when we shoot videos, sometimes I have to go dressy Bessie. But you're talking about this logo here. That's only for the team. Yeah. So sorry if can't have that. Those are they're in short supply right now, as a matter of fact. But you know what you can do? You can steal the logo and print your own. Doesn't everybody just do that? And so okay. All right, guys. We'll see you probably next Tuesday because I'm around for a couple weeks for the Nora. If you really want to make Nora happen again, find 25 more of your friends and get them to sign up to do the Nora's Baja. I like to tell people it's going to be the last really good motorcycle race in Baja until somebody figures out how to do it better. So, okay, cheers, everybody. We'll see you out on the trail. Now the hard part of the show, I have to figure out how to turn it off because it's like AI and it just follows me around. Wants to make me